So welcome. So first of all, so great to have you here. And Kit, I hope you don't mind me mentioning your engagement, 'cause it was in the newspapers. It was announced in the Times, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did a little announcement in the Times.
Wow, that's so sweet, and it's so kind of like traditional. It's very nice. Is there any equivalent in America? Is there some? Do you put a thing in the newspapers when you get engaged?
Yes, I think in the New York Times and stuff like that in the back, in the engagement. Yes.
Okay, how did you pop the question? Can I ask you that? Was it a big thing? Was it an arranged thing?
Yeah, so I did have some plans, you know. I did have some plans to do it. I was going to string up some lights and some trees and do all the romantic stuff. And
nice.
But we were in the country and we were sort of under this beautiful night sky and had the log fire burning and red wine. And I kind of blew my load early.
Hold on, Are we still talking about
really bad exposure?
I mean, I suppose it's romantic.
Yeah, I was meant to do it the day after with the lights, but what I meant to say is I popped my question a bit early, not blew my load.
Well, that's lovely. And could I ask you, when your husband-to-be proposed?
I was very surprised. David was very romantic, but I was pregnant, and I was having like a little crying moment.
Wow.
And I'd just gotten out of the shower, and I was like packing my bag, and he said, "Baby, come here, let's just go for a walk." And I was like, "I don't want to go for an effing walk." And we were in the countryside too, and he took me out for a walk, and our friend has like this amazing gypsy caravan. And I thought he was just taking me in to show me the caravan, and on a pillow inside this amazing old gypsy caravan was my ring.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. I felt really bad because I was kind of bitchy, but beforehand.
Now we have, Kit said that we could show this. We have a video prank that you played on your intended, on Rose. And we're going to show this, and then perhaps you can talk us through what you were thinking about and what the intention was and the aftermath afterwards. First of all, we're going to show you Rose's reaction. So this was in your house. This is in the kitchen, yeah?
This is in the kitchen. This is on April Fool's Day morning.
Well, that makes sense then.
We have to set it up, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to see the reaction first, I think.
Oh, OK.
OK.
Will they know what it is?
Well, after we went up... Yes, once we've shown it, then we'll see the other...
Do you see it?
Of course he's seen it. He filmed it. So this is At Home with Kit and Rose. Look at this. April Fool's Day. This is her morning treat when she opens the fridge. Tune in next week to find out what was in there. OK, so we're going to show you. This is what... So, no, well, talk me through. So, you'd obviously... This had taken a little bit of planning, certainly.
Yeah, no, It turns out, now you've seen that she's not a big... Like, my family does April Fools. Her family doesn't do April Fools. Yeah, no date it was, and after that, she was in tears, and I was there going, April Fools? It didn't go down well.
Let's have a look. This is the reaction once again.
Can I just point out how she saves the Brita filter before doing it? She dives across the room to save the Brita filter.
OK, here's what she saw. This is what Kit hid in the fridge. Well, that's pretty... I mean, come on. That's not... Now you see that, her reaction wasn't out of kind of like proportion, was it, really?
No.
And he came to work and was like bragging about it, about this hilarious thing he did. And we were like, oh,
what a shit. OK, so... do you think she... Now, is she in the spirit now, though? Do you think next year she will do something to you?
She pretty much told me if I did it ever again, that would be it. And I think that's marriage included.
So you're clear on that now? You've got that system. OK, so both of you in a new series. I've seen the first one. I loved it. It was very good. It starts Saturday, 21st of October on BBC One, called Gunpowder. What I find so fascinating about this is that it's based on true events and your ancestors. One of your ancestors involved in this, Robert Catesby.
Yeah, that's the sort of... The origins of why we wanted to produce and do this drama was that my mother's maiden name is Catesby, and both my brother and I's middle name is Catesby. And it's a guy, a historical figure, a real man called Robert Catesby, who was the actual leader of the Gunpowder plot. And it's a sort of curious piece of family history that I grew up with that, you know, you ask anyone what they know about the Gunpowder plot, and they'll say sort of Guy Fawkes or the powder underneath Parliament, but they won't really know the full story. And actually, the full story is fascinating, and it makes for, I think, a brilliant and thrilling period drama. And I couldn't understand why it had never been dramatised. We set off fireworks on the 5th of November every year. We know the rhyme. It's one of those events, very English piece of folklore.
Yeah.
So
and it's, as you said, a fascinating period in British history. Were you familiar with the whole idea of Guy Fawkes and the Gunpowder plot before you got involved?
I mean, I knew very little about it, but I had, I think, been to, when I was a teenager, sort of a bonfire night somewhere and just saw everyone celebrating, and I knew, like, remember the 5th of November.
But was it strange at all for you playing someone who you know that you're linked to by blood, who went through, you know, a very difficult period? It must have been, that's an unusual experience for an actor, I would have thought.
I think it was interesting, but it's never really the real reason why I did it in some ways. It's just kind of, I knew about this story because he was an ancestor. But the more we sort of read up on it, the more fascinating things we found out. So there was Lord Harington on my father's side, was in the Houses of Parliament, that Robert Catesby, my mother's side, was trying to blow it up. Wow. And he's quoted, when we were doing the research for it, he's quoted of saying, an uglier count... An uglier...
And I'll tell you what. Well, they really didn't like each other, did they?
He said, an uglier fellow I've never seen. And that's like my dad's side slagging off my mum's side way back in the 70s.
Well, all of us have in-laws who sometimes don't get on, but that was going to an extreme, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah.
That's so amazing. So you're linked to both sides of this story, then? You can trace your lineage back to both sides of this story?
Yeah, it's kind of... But that was some of the fascinating thing in doing the research for it. We found out some really kind of incredible stories around it.
Okay. Well, it's just a great, gripping piece of drama. Have a look at it. Right in the heart of the action, right there. Had you met before filming? Did you know each other before you went on this project together?
Yeah, we met on a flight, actually. Before, just after... Luckily, Liv had agreed to be in Gunpowder, which was amazing for us anyway.
Well, so you're just about to be in a fairly intense kind of working relationship. If you hadn't got on that flight, that would have been awful, wouldn't it? Did that seem like a possibility at any time?
That was my worry. You know, we've got a 7-hour flight ahead of us. If this is a nightmare, then we've got 2 months on set, which ain't going to go so well. But she, you know, we did get on, and then she drugged me. So that was... It's literally slipped a Xanax in my drink.
Really?
It was one of those weird flights that's like at 7 o'clock, I think. It wasn't the really late one, so you're kind of not tired. And I had some Xanax, which I take when I have a little bit of a nervous flying and jet lag and traveling all over the world. So I said, do you want a Xanax? Thinking he knew what it was, and he was like, yeah.
Hold on, so you didn't know...
I thought I was doing him a favor.
Oh, well, you were, but a lady offers you a pill and you don't know what it is, you go, sure.
I said it'll just help you sleep, and then...
Yeah, it did.
Liv, can I ask you about your dad a little bit? Is that okay? Because I read there was a bit of a health scare recently. He cancelled a tour, I think, and there was a concern about his heart. Now, how is he doing? How is he...
He's okay. It was like one of those things where he had a little thing that needed to be taken care of, and he was in pain, and he was kind of trying... It's hard when you're on tour, because you don't want to let everybody down.
Of course.
And then it just got bad, and he had to go to LA to have a little operation.
But that's happened, and he's through that?
He's recovering, yes.
Oh, that's great. Because, of course, he's granddaddy to your kids.
Is, yeah.
How hands-on is he as a grandparent?
He's amazing. I mean, when we get to see him, he's been on tour a lot lately.
We have a picture here of him, I think, with... Which one of you?
That's Lula, my daughter. He was just meeting her for the first time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
He's got to be like the coolest granddad in the world, isn't he?
He's very magical. He's like Pied Piper. They just follow him around everywhere, and he makes all these crazy noises and bird calls, and he's like I always call him like a wizard pirate.
Well, he's got
he actually does treasure hunts sometimes, various things.
Man, how sweet.
Yeah, he's pretty special.
Remember that picture? He's certainly got wizard pirate hair in that picture. Obviously, I'm going to have to chat a little bit about Game of Thrones. I'm sure you wouldn't want to... Now, last time we had him, you weren't lying, and Kit was very good. He never lied to anyone. People were saying, are you dead? Is Jon Snow dead? Mm-hmm. And, of course, you were saying, yes, he is dead, and he was dead.
Yeah.
For a heartbeat or two.
Yeah, I wasn't lying.
No.
I mean, as much as you electrocuted me, I wasn't lying.
We almost brought that out again this week. The pressure to keep those secrets Must be pretty intense because everyone, I mean, even though we don't want to know, we kind of think we should know, don't we, in advance? So how do you deal with that? You just have to keep your head down when you're out? You just avoid talking about it?
Yeah, I think, you know, I avoided, with that particular spoiler, I avoided going and talking to anyone. I mean, when you came, I thought it might be quite fun to lie to you. That's the one.
Yeah. I'm gullible as well, so that's even more fun. And we know how cruel you are with your practical jokes.
Yeah.
And they don't always tell you. Like, I did this show called The Leftovers, and they kind of would keep everything from us.
Yeah.
You're always trying to get information, but did you know just your character stuff and not everyone's?
I'm going to do the read-through for the final season in a couple of days.
Wow.
And I still don't know anything about it.
Your wedding plan's going to get in the way, though, because if you've got a rough idea of the date, presumably you have to clear that, because it's an intense schedule you're on, especially being such a kind of prominent character.
Yeah, I rang up. There's a brilliant man called Ollie Butler who does the schedules for Thrones, which, if you can imagine, is like the most complicated thing in the world. Every time I ring him up, he sounds like he's about to rip his face off. But this time when I rang him up and I said, Ollie, I'm getting married and it's your fault, actually. He kind of, you know that kind of serenity that comes over someone when, just before they kill themselves? I think for the final season, he's so stressed that he's, like, reached that peaceful level. And I was like, right, you've got to factor in a Game of Thrones wedding, by the way, into the...
So I guess most of the cast are now, like, you'll feel like family to you, so you're going to have to invite them all along.
Yeah, they've all got to be there, so the whole thing's got to shut down.
Are you remotely tempted to do it in Game of Thrones costumes? I mean, that would be amazing. Because we want Ygritte to be with Jon.
Yeah.
No, you're not,
No, there's absolutely no chance of me convincing her of that, no.
Kit, it's great to have you here. I love it. And you know what? Seeing Gunpowder, it's a tremendous performance. I've only seen the first episode. Congratulations. I really got hooked in. Liv, you're amazing as well. Great to have you here. Kit Harington and Liv Tyler, ladies and gentlemen.